everybody. Today I want to spend a little bit of time talking about The Anxious Generation. This was a highly recommended book to me, and so I took some time reading it, digesting it, looking through it, and seeing how I felt about it as someone working in social work and someone that works with teenagers all the time and is also impacted by the great rewiring that he talks about in here. The full title is The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. We are definitely in a mental illness crisis, right? We have mental health talks all the time. We think about how there's different influences like COVID or elections and political turmoil and different things impact mental health. But I think that his book really is eye-opening when you think about the way that social media and cell phones has just absolutely, as he puts it, rewired the American adolescent brain. And it's really concerning. And so I had three main takeaways that I thought were really, they really hit home as someone that was also born in the 2000s. So I was 15 when, as he says, Instagram was hitting the app store in 2015, when it was just really, really influential. So I wanted to take some time to talk about that today. So my takeaway number one was on the difference in gender that he talks about. I think it's important to consider how social media and the great rewiring, which is also not just social media, but cell phones, screens, video games, influence boys and girls differently, right? Like when we work with teenagers, you're gonna handle a boy issue, you're gonna handle a girl issue maybe a little bit differently. Same thing with the great rewiring, it impacted girls and boys differently. I think he applies a lot of data and a lot of research, a lot of studies to the evidence that girls are impacted a little bit more and boys are impacted a little bit differently. And so it's important for me, at least. I really love looking at data. I love looking at studies that give me the concrete evidence that this is true. I hate when it's you read a book by a life coach and it's no, this is definitely a thing. And it's well, no, it's not actually. You don't have data, but this is a thing. So he talks about how girls are impacted by Instagram a lot. And he says that, critics have came at him and say, well, internet, how can you even tell? Internet was already a thing. You're just making an assumption that Instagram was the thing and internet was the thing. And it's no, he looked at some studies. He realized internet doesn't just hit the whole nation and the UK and Canada at one time. He looks at how internet, high speed, whatever internet, impacted certain areas first compared to others. And so those areas that it impacted first, you see at their local mental health, organizations and institutions, okay, females are being seen at a way, suddenly a skyrocketing rate. There's more females getting treated for depression, for anxiety, for other mental health issues. So it is social media. It is the access to internet. It is the access to increased screens. These other areas where high-speed internet was just not as prevalent at the time, it was slower, it wasn't hitting them yet, they weren't seeing that. They weren't seeing the increase in mental health issues for females. And then he talks about how boys, it's a little bit different, right? So Instagram targeted girls. Instagram put bait out. They started booming in 2015. I was a teenager in 2015. I think I started my Instagram in 2015 because of FOMO. All my friends had it. I wanted it. I posted cat pictures outside my locker in high school, freshman year, just basic pictures, but there was a psychology behind it. I was baited, right? Instagram knows what they're doing. They were bought by Facebook. They started booming. They knew, okay, what do girls psychologically crave? What do they need? They want social attention. They want esteem. They want respect. They want to be included. They want that connection, whether it's fake or genuine. They want to feel like they're connected. And so Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all those different social medias really baited and knew what females wanted. And so they called girls attention. And so when a girl is addicted, once you're on it, you're addicted. You can't get off. I still have Instagram. 10 years later, I don't imagine myself ever really getting rid of it, which maybe I should, but I don't think I could, right? I think I've been on it long enough where I'm also not suffering from mental illness, so maybe I'm okay with it, but I think as a teenager it impacted me pretty badly. So boys, on the other hand, don't have that same social desire. They don't crave the attention in the same way. They're impacted in ways of more they're vulnerable to exploitation, similar to females, but a little bit different. They're impacted by feeling withdrawn, they feel lonely, they're more likely to really just stay in their room cooped up all day. They're not likely to make social connections and have social interactions, which impacts them deeply. And so he just talks about the differences between video games and social media and how you're getting two different things from that, right? And I think some people, especially like even myself, I never really considered video games as part of the Great Rewiring when I thought about it at first. I thought, oh, it's phones, social media. There's online games, there's internet on a laptop, on a Chromebook that you can take with you everywhere. So now boys are impacted just as much as girls because they also have the access to it just boop right in front of them on their phone, on a screen, wherever they are, in their room, lonely. They have the ability to log in and play and connect and disconnect from the world. And that's ultimately what he talks about is boys and girls are just disconnecting. And this isn't just American. I think I said earlier, American brain. This is the UK, Canada, most English-speaking nations. He doesn't see this as much in like the south of Europe or Asian countries. And he doesn't really attribute that to anything. I think it's just the studies he was looking at. Maybe it's culture. He doesn't dive deep into that, which I think he could have. I think that would have been valuable. That's a criticism I have. I think boys and girls in English-speaking countries, you know, those studies are really great, really valuable. It does not take away from their value and their data that shows very obviously with evidence, yes, this is impacting girls this way, boys this way, whatever. But I think showing a little bit more of the culture and like understanding how other cultures are impacted would have been a little bit really, like, I think it would have been a good dive and given some insight into the world and the Great Rewiring. My second takeaway is free play. He talks about how this is currently, we're living through an era of a phone-based childhood, and that is not good, right? We want to be living in a human-based childhood, one that is with connection and outside and danger and risks and getting up when you fall over. Like, there's just not a lot of that anymore, and he attributes this directly to screens and the Great Rewiring, the boom of Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok and all these different things. And he talks about how parents after like the 1990s became a lot more like helicopter parents, and he talks about just how much that being a helicopter parent, my criticism is that I wish he talked a little bit more about how valid it can be, like the feelings that a mother and a father have to protect their child. He does mention how crime plummets, but in the 90s parents are still overprotective. I think there's reasons for that. I think 90s is like the biggest like movement for like serial killers and like the news and all that. So I wish he talked about more about why that's the case, why helicopter parents are suddenly so like prevalent in the Great Rewiring. But I think that he's right in saying that kids really before that were all outside. Millennials, boomers, everyone was outside. It was, okay, go out, play till the lights come on and then you come home. And he talks about how those students or those kids did not face as many mental health issues, and how students now, they're not really outside. They're not given independent tasks by their parents. Now, there was a couple things I thought he said that were maybe like, this isn't a parenting book, right? This is educational about the psychology behind how social media and screens impact the brain. I do think though he could have given a little more thought into some of the suggestions he was giving, or like kind of answered the criticism in the book before he's getting the criticism, because he's talking about how he let like his 11-year-old son go to Manhattan or whatever on a train at 11 at night. Like, what? I just don't think that, like, this is not a parenting book, right? Like, maybe don't do that with your kid. But I think I agree with his small steps that he gives. Like, give your kid a task of going down the street and having a lemonade stand, or knocking door to door asking for neighbors for something. Go 5 houses down and ask them for sugar. Or like on the playground, don't have rules. I like that a lot. I think that playgrounds that have rules, you can't touch, you can't play tag, you can't tackle each other, you can't do all these things, that's just enforcing this fragile mindset in a lot of teens' minds or a lot of kids' minds. And so they grow up thinking, oh, I can't do any of this, I shouldn't do any of this, instead of allowing that natural instinctual craving to do risky things take over and allow them to figure out how to grow and how to get hurt and get up. And so I do think that schools should have a little bit more recess and more playtime that's unregulated. I think he mentions how playgrounds have rules, and yeah, I agree. I don't think that should be a thing. I think it does impact a lot of students and their ability to grow up and get hurt and grow and learn from it. But I wish he did spend a little more time just talking about how it's okay that parents can sometimes be helicopter parents and how there's valid reasons for it. And maybe he could have given even some advice or words on research about, kidnappings in areas and safety of kids or different things like that. But I felt like his encouragement for more free play to increase independence, to decrease mental health issues in the future is great. and I really enjoyed that. Third and final takeaway is how he talks about there's four different things that he says that, you know, can be the solution to great rewiring. I think there's really two that stick out to me and two that I really thought would be manageable, and that's 16-year-olds. That should be the limit for social media. It should be a social media, you have to get age check verified at 16. If you're not 16, you can't make an account. Now, he addresses the criticism right away, saying, okay, we know this is not likely. We know that this is a big legal, political thing where, you know, students have access to this or that, or adolescents have access to internet, so then they can make 1 million accounts. There's already like teen accounts on Instagram or Snapchat, but they don't really do anything. I still think that it would be really important for more people to advocate for an increased age allowance on social media and more security. I think that having social media at 13 right now is insane. Like, there's so many kids I work with that are that age and younger or a little bit older, and they are just so brain rotted. Like, all they know is brain rot. And that is so disheartening, especially when you look at education. I think I listened to a TED Talk with him it was a year after the book came out, and he talked about how he wishes he could put it in the book, but it was a year after. IQ and test scores and academic achievement have dropped as well. And he has now found data and studies that directly correlate to this. Obviously, he can't put it in the book, but it's something to think about with Chromebooks and iPads and phones just being so integrated in the school day. Which brings me to my next point, which is his suggestion that schools be phone-free, screen-free. Now, some schools that I'm familiar with, or my high school, whatever, was like, oh, you can't have your phone on during the day. If you have it on during the day, then you get a detention. So who had it on during the day? Like, everybody, right? Because you just don't get caught. You do it in the bathroom, you do it in passing, you do it at lunch, you do it at in the back of class during a test or a free time. Now with the rise of ChatGPT and AI, I think having a screen-free school is just needed. I think it's necessary. I think we're past the point of this would be nice, this would be great, students will be good. We need it, right? Hand your phone at the beginning of the day. It takes it out of the forefront of your mind, puts it in the back of your mind, and allows you to focus on the task at hand and have less of the fear of FOMO, less of the fear of kids are going to record me, or I need to be in this picture in this moment, or in this whatever. He talks about this a lot, you know, just how schools need to be cracking down, and how every time a school does, they have glowing reviews about how students are better, there's laughing in the hallways, there's more connection, there's less mental health issues, there's just more good overall. And I think that is a really doable thing. I think the age at 16 social media verification thing, we know that that's probably not going to happen. We can hope and pray. Some countries have enacted it. I think the UK or Australia did. But I think screen-free schools, phone-free schools would be amazing. Increase free play, decrease the phone. And those are my 3 takeaways from The Anxious Generation. This is a fantastic book. I do recommend it to anybody that is like a social worker or works with adolescent brains or works in education. And I think that there are some criticisms to it, but I don't think that takes away from the huge amount of data that he has in here that is just, it's all research, it's all study-based. I mean, it's just, these are real things. This is a real rewiring that has happened that is still impacting us and our teens. And we are in charge of creating change for it. We're in charge of advocating for our teens. We're in charge of making sure that this does not continue to impact them as technology only gets worse. That is my 3 takeaways. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.